Hey everyone, it is January the 2nd on Read Through the Word, and it is great to be with you. There was so much covered in today's lesson. So much, the majority of it we have is Noah's story. And there are some days you're going to notice are short readings, and there are some days are longer readings. Today was one of those days. It really wasn't a lot of reading. We noticed, if this is your first reading through chronologically, notice that you went from Genesis 4 to Genesis 5 to 1 Chronicles 1 through 4. When you read chronologically, this is how it happens. The scripture that may be somewhere else in the Bible that happened at that same time is going to be recorded here. So just notice those things. There's, sometimes it's just something simple like this is the genealogy. Sometimes Chronicles is thrown in there and it's got some real meat and potatoes to the lesson. So make sure you read these things. Every part that he wrote, inspired to be written, is included for a reason. And we learn something from it. Even genealogy you can learn something from. So I just wanted to point that out to you. Maybe you didn't notice, maybe you did. But when I say, even though this was a short reading, that it was full because there was a lot said here. There was a lot said in the phrase. So Noah did everything exactly as God commanded him. Huge phrase for us. Humongous phrase for us. It's a phrase that we need to basically, anchor our life around, for sure. If there was anyone to start us off our new year that we could mimic, emulate, copy, it would be this person, Noah. We learned about the serpent yesterday. We talked about the fact that we're going to be tempted. And we talked about how to avoid temptation, but also how to recognize temptation. Very, very important lesson. Equally as important is the story of Noah and the impact of this verse 6:22. We are told that Noah did everything exactly as God commanded him. Now, you might want to underline that verse, but then you might want to highlight exactly did everything, or just everything, and exactly. Because this is really, really important. Nowhere in Scripture that you read today or that you will not read in the rest of the story of Noah, where he had this conversation with God that said, now, Lord, I hear what you're saying, but what is this stuff called rain? You want me to be able to what? I don't even know what that is. How big? Out of what? We see no dialogue between God and Noah of, this doesn't make sense. I'm going to need some clarification on this. Now, here's the thing. It's important to clarify, and we don't know that he didn't. It's important to clarify when God's calling us to do something really big. It really is. Word Up Ministries is a prime example. It's my ark. It is. It was months of praying and months of listening and months of following, and through little steps of obedience and listening and having others pray over it to make sure I wasn't hearing God wrong. We don't know that he didn't do that, but we don't see the conversation of, hey, this doesn't make sense. Maybe he did. We don't know. It's not there. It's not recorded. But I love that he did everything exactly as God commanded. And because I am a word nerd, that's just who I am, I wanted to know exactly what did everything exactly meant. So exactly means this in the Hebrew. Now, I'm not saying the Hebrew word of exactly because I didn't put it in my notes, but I would have tried to say it. But here's what exactly means in the Hebrew. This is what God was saying, exactly what God was saying. That Noah did anything, everything, and each thing that he was asked to do. Any little thing, each little thing, every and anything he was asked to do, he did it. Huge verse for us to start the year with. Only the second day, and God is already challenging us with the 4-letter word of obey. We have to obey God when it sounds really, really fun. We have to obey God when it sounds really, really not fun. When it sounds like it's a cinch. When it sounds like it's completely off the range difficult. Basically, there's not a time when disobedience is an option. You might want to write that down. There's not a time when disobedience is an option. Does obedience really matter? Yeah, it does. Obedience matters to my relationship with God. It does. It creates a trust and a bond between me and God, and also between God and me. When I obey, God sees that he can trust me. And when I obey, I see that I can trust God. My obedience matters to the lost. It mattered to all of those people. Now, the only people that were saved were the 7 of his family and him, because nobody believed him. But it mattered. Obedience matters to the hurt and the lonely and the grief-stricken that God is calling you to minister to. Obedience matters to them. So, bottom line here, friends, build the ark. If he's asked you to build the ark, verify, solidify, pray, ask others to pray. But you may say, I don't have the resources to build an ark. That's all right. Neither did Noah. I didn't have the resources and still don't have the resources to carry through with all of the things that I believe God's calling me to do through Word Up Ministries. But I obeyed, and I believe him and his faithfulness to follow through with what he wants done here. It's not mine. That doesn't have anything to do with me other than I obeyed to open the door. And when I say door, I mean it's at my house. Like I don't have a building anywhere. So build your ark. You know, sometimes he asks you to build an ark. Sometimes he asks you to help build an ark. Sometimes he asks you to build a raft. Sometimes he asks you just to believe in the one who's building the ark. And I've got lots of friends who have believed in me as I have started out in this venture of ministry. And they've stood with me and they're building the ark with me. Whatever that looks like. Here's the thing. We do not want to miss out on our ark experience with God because we disobeyed. It's just not worth it. The price of disobedience is not worth it. Not because something bad's going to happen to us. Not because something bad is going to happen, but because you will miss out on the richness of a relationship with a loving God who has big things in mind for his children. And he needs you. And he needs me. Well, let me rephrase that. He doesn't need anybody. He wants us to participate. Oh, don't miss the experience of saying, yes, I'm sorry. Don't miss the experience of obeying God. Because you can't, there are no words for it. There are no words for it. It's the feeling that you know when you get to heaven, you can't wait to lay it at his feet. That's how great it is. Yeah. Disobedience is not worth it. We'll see you tomorrow on Read Through the Word.